Well, hello, and do I have a conversation for you tonight? I want to talk about the new proposed laws that Dan Andrews' government has tried to introduce to the Australian park system quite sneakily. Now, I have held off on commenting about this until I knew a little bit more about it. I've been in contact with the PMAV, and I've got some solutions that we can go through for this. For everyone who doesn't know what this is, I need to catch you up, and I'm going to do that really quick. Basically, the Dan Andrews government has introduced a legislation. I'm not very political, so I'm just going to probably mollycoddle my way through terminology here. They've introduced legislation to the government or whatever. They're introducing laws that are going to affect people who use the bush, right? And these laws are very simple. What they're wanting to do is they want to put a ban on swimming in multiple national and state forests. They want to put a ban on you being able to leave any trail that isn't Parks Victoria authorized. And they're introducing fines for both of these, and the legislation should pass in November. Now, this was introduced back in July. The PMAV put up a request for people to send forward their messages of this is absolute bullcrap, and I'm going to explain why in a minute, but this is absolute bullcrap, and we don't want that, so that the government got the idea that they were overstepping their boundary in a big way. Now, that has since closed, but there has been a new newspaper article about it that's reignited the debate. And what we hope to do is get that debate reopened so that there's more opportunity for the public to voice their opinion about this. In the description below, there is an email address that you need to send an email to, and below that is the link to the closed opportunity for you to have your say. Basically, all we need people to do is send an email that says, hey, I disagree with these laws, I use the bush, this is why I use the bush, and I need to be able to get off trail to do that. It infringes on my rights. I hold a shooter's license and a game license, or I hold a prospecting license. These activities require me to go off trail. I want this, and the link that I've linked below, I want this reopened for public debate. That's what we need. Now, I'm going to explain the laws and why they're ridiculous. The first one that I think is absolutely insane is they want to ban swimming in multiple national and state parks. Now, first of all, they're talking about banning swimming in places that are popular swimming places, such as like the Buckland River. So the Buckland River is about an hour and a half from me. It's a huge river. It's very popular with prospectors because there's a lot of gold up there. It's super popular with families and camping because it's in a high traffic tourist area. It's beautiful. It's also open to hound hunting, so seasonal hound hunting and deer shooting in general, because it's a state park, not national forest. And to top it off, it is a really popular summer swimming destination because it's a big river, it's deep, it's got permanent water, blah, blah, blah. It's amazing. They want to ban swimming in places like that. Ban it. And when I say ban it, they can fine you $900 odd for going swimming if they catch you swimming in there with these new laws that are meant to be coming in November. It gets better. But swimming will be okay if you get a permit. If you buy a permit, swimming will be okay again. So swimming's currently okay, then they're going to ban it, and then they've introduced permit systems that you can buy to make it okay again. That permit doesn't do anything. It doesn't change what's happening in the river, as in these laws have been introduced to buy the green vote. So not the Greens. Here in Australia, there's a party called the Greens. We're not talking about the Greens. We're talking about the green vote. People who are captivated by saving the planet and ecology. Nothing wrong with that in any way, shape, or form. But this is a stretch too far. What they're saying is that there are pollutants that will be introduced to the water due to human activity. So, for instance, and an obvious one would be something like urine and feces, and that's always a concern. In any waterway that you're in, you don't want people doing that in waterways because it's disgusting and can cause disease. But they're also talking about things like soaps and blah, 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 blah. Anyway, my point is that they're trying to stop this by introducing fines, but it doesn't work because anyone who's going to flout the law is going to flout the law regardless of what laws are introduced. It's the same as rubbish dumping. Like, there's been a ban on rubbish dumping forever. People still do it. It doesn't stop them in any way, shape, or form. off they go and they're going to do it. It's only ever going to affect law-abiding citizens. So they want to find that. But it gets even better because they also want to make it illegal for you to leave a walking trail that's not created or designated by Parks Victoria. Parks Victoria, for those who are not in Australia, is our governing body that looks after our national and state parks. So they're in charge of things like weed and pest control. They're in charge of maintaining facilities within the parks and fire breaks, etc., etc. So they want to fine people for going off trails that weren't created or designated by Parks Victoria. Well, what's the problem with that? Let me think for literally no time at all. Well, if you hold a game license and a shooter's license and you're a hunter, it means that you can no longer leave designated parks trails to go hunting, even though you legally hold the right with your licenses and permits to do so. It's the same with prospecting. Technically, I can't walk down to the creek and go prospecting without the risk of a $1,400 fine. But I hold the permit, I hold the right, the miner's right, to go and extract minerals from it, from those state parks. And on that token, state national parks were put aside for the Australian public to utilize, to use as recreational areas. That's what they are there for in one aspect. Yes, some of it is definitely conservation. Now, perhaps you could argue that humans would trample on the flora and fauna that may be in the bush, and there may be some delicate ecosystems that we need to look after. And absolutely, maybe we should section off certain areas that do hold very rare plants. But I'm here as someone who uses the bush almost every single day to tell you that if you go walking in the bush, you don't bush bash, you literally walk along game trails because the animals have already formed the easiest path for you to take. You're not creating your own path. Very, very rarely you're going to do something like that. So think about it. You've left the path, you're walking along a game trail, you're not doing any damage. The only way they're going to catch you and give you a fine is if they physically leave their path and follow you. And it's not like you've got a number plate on your back that's registered to you. They don't know who you are. You can just walk off. They have no power, they have no policing power at all. They'd have to get the cops there to detain you. You could just walk away. You could literally just walk, and they would have to keep walking with you, violating their own laws that they've set aside. Oh my God. This is insane. Again, if we're talking about ecology and buying the green vote, and you're saying that me walking off a trail is detrimental to the bushland that's out there, have a think about this for 1 second. They're okay with banning things like pest shooting within national parks so that feral foxes, cats, dogs, goats, pigs, deer can all wreak havoc, and they do. There's studies on how bad feral animal loads are in national parks, not to mention the blackberries and whatnot that are all through them. But they are completely fine with indiscriminately dropping 1080 bait through those same parks. So they won't allow a hunter on, like a professional shooter, they won't allow them into the parks to go and shoot animals that are eating our native wildlife that have no natural predators with one bullet. So like one bullet, one dead animal, right? That's how it works, generally speaking. But they're fine with dropping 1080 bait from helicopters and just letting whatever pick it up. Now, you could argue all the different points about 1080, but I've got one study that you need to know of, which is just the Kosciuszko study, which is where they laid 150 baits and they monitored the sites, and of the 150 baits, guess how many were taken by foxes? 150 baits, how many foxes? One. 149 of the other baits, the rest of them, 149 baits, were taken by native quolls. So they're fine with using the green vote, to say that we're damaging ecology by walking off trails and it's all fragile and stuff. But they're totally cool with indiscriminately killing native animals. They're fine with that. There's no issue there. Right. So I've said my bit, and all I wanted to say is please jump down, copy that email into your email, say we want this reopened for debate, so that we can get rid of it. I mean, it's not going to stop anyone from doing it at all. It's just a money grab. That's all it is. Money grab and control from the government. What else would we expect in 2022? I'm going to go on with my coin cleaning videos, guys. Stay safe out there. Bye.